Wang Weiluo's warning, imminent comprehensive ecological disaster in the upper Yellow River. Beijing considers 2 trillion yuan rescue plan for stock markets. The inside story of Ka-Shing's withdrawal from China after fighting with Xi. Wanda Plaza in Jinan echoes anti-CCP sentiments following Sitong bridge incident. Chinese students in the U.S. face trial for threatening democracy advocates. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Wang Weiluo's warning, imminent comprehensive ecological disaster in the upper Yellow River. In the wake of frequent earthquakes and floods across mainland China in 2023, German-based water conservancy expert Wang Weiluo issued a stark caution. He emphasized that the 2023 earthquake in Keshing County, Gansu Province, served as a warning, signaling an imminent ecological and environmental catastrophe in the upper reaches of the Yellow River. Weiluo highlighted the concentration of landslides and fault zones in the region from Huangyaxia to Lujiaxia, where the Chinese Communist Party has erected 25 dams, including the Jishixia Dam in Gansu. Attributing the Keshing earthquake to reservoir-induced seismic activity, Weiluo pointed to the proximity of affected areas to the dam. He asserted that the dam project and the broader Yellow River Cascade hydropower development were triggering man-made disasters rather than natural calamities. Citing international cases, Weiluo noted instances like India's Koyna Reservoir and the Oroville Reservoir in the United States, where earthquakes were linked to reservoir-induced activities. He highlighted that developed countries had curtailed such dam construction models, opting for alternative approaches in response to environmental concerns. Professor He Shuiyu, a renowned Chinese environmental science professor and academician, stated during the feasibility study of the Three Gorges project that after the completion of the dam, there is a possibility of triggering catastrophic earthquakes. The reservoir area is also prone to landslides, mudslides, and blockages, posing serious threats to roads, bridges, dam projects, and the lives and properties of urban residents. Drawing attention to the Yellow River's significance as a key hydropower resource for the CCP, Weiluo revealed that 25 dams had been constructed in the landslide fault zone. He stressed that the cumulative impact of multiple reservoirs, rather than a single dam, was responsible for induced earthquakes in the area. On December 28, 2023, the CCP's Ministry of Water Resources held a press conference on the 2023 reservoir safety management situation. Liu Weiping, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Water Resources, mentioned the earthquake in Keshing County, Gansu, and stated that within a range of 10, 20, and 50 kilometers from the epicenter, there are over 400 reservoirs. Wang Weiluo said, the catastrophic landslide disasters in the upper reaches of the Yellow River are concentrated from Huangyaxia to Lujiaxia. Similar events occurred in history. The process of submergence is very similar to what happened in December 2023 when 2 villages in Qinghai province were engulfed by mudslides. The mud and sand suddenly submerged the entire village, and people had no time to escape. He concluded, the earthquake that occurred in Keshing County in the upper reaches of the Yellow River in December 2023 is a severe warning from heaven to the Chinese nation. The upper reaches of the Yellow River are facing a gigantic comprehensive ecological disaster, including heavy rainfall, floods, earthquakes, landslides, mudslides, dam failures, and more. Beijing considers 2 trillion yuan rescue plan for stock markets. According to anonymous sources cited by Bloomberg on Tuesday, January 23, policymakers in Beijing are exploring a comprehensive set of measures to stabilize the continuously falling Chinese stock market. The plan involves mobilizing 2 trillion yuan, approximately $283 billion, from state-owned enterprise offshore accounts, using the Shanghai Hong Kong and Shenzhen Hong Kong Stock Connect programs to purchase onshore stocks and salvage the market. The sources further revealed that policymakers are considering allocating at least 300 billion yuan, or around $43 billion, in local funds, with investments in domestic stocks through either the China Securities Finance Corporation or the Central Huijin Investment Ltd. These proposed measures are said to be under consideration, with potential announcements as early as this week if approved by the highest leadership. Bloomberg sought confirmation from the China Securities Regulatory Commission regarding the above disclosures but received no response. Bloomberg's analysis points out that weakened corporate confidence in China, fueled by a real estate crisis, sluggish consumer confidence, foreign investment downturn, and inconsistent government policies, is exerting significant downward pressure on the Chinese economy and financial markets. The effectiveness of the mentioned measures in reversing this downturn remains uncertain. Following the circulation of these reports, stock indices in both the Chinese and Hong Kong markets experienced a modest rebound. While the Shanghai and Shenzhen indices recorded marginal gains of around 1%, the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong surged back above 15,000 points, closing with a 2.63% increase. Zhu Qingji, president of Taiwan Wanbao Asset Management Group, expressed belief in the short-term effectiveness of these measures but voiced concerns about their long-term impact. He stated, "Trying to stabilize the market by injecting cash may have short-term effects, but it might be difficult in the medium to long term." Zhu Qingji explained, "The most serious problem in the mainland is the real estate issue, not the stock market. The continuous downturn in real estate is expanding, affecting many aspects of GDP performance and altering various aspects of private consumption power. This is challenging to resolve." Columnist Ka-Shing bluntly commented, "I believe this fund injection to rescue the market is just a drop in the ocean and will ultimately end in failure." He emphasized on social platform X that what the Chinese and Hong Kong stock markets lack is not funds, but confidence and trust. Ka-Shing stated that market rescue efforts led by the government are unlikely to succeed without addressing the fundamental issues, including the need for party democracy domestically, abolishing lifelong tenure and centralization, allowing diverse opinions and public voices, respecting the legitimate rights of private property, state-owned enterprises withdrawing from competitive market sectors, and adhering to the one country, two systems principle established by both China and the UK in Hong Kong. He concluded, "If there is no willingness to compromise, there will be no glimpse of dawn for the Chinese and Hong Kong stock markets." The inside story of Ka-Shing's withdrawal from China after fighting with Xi. Hong Kong's wealthiest tycoon, Ka-Shing, has garnered attention for his recent moves to divest from Chinese assets, a decision now seen as prescient. In an article on an overseas platform on January 22, Ka-Shing dispelled the notion that Ka-Shing's foresight drove his early exit from China. Instead, traditional businessmen often prioritize political business relationships. Ka-Shing disclosed that Xi Jinping, during his tenure as vice president of China, had met with Ka-Shing and his son Victor Li. However, after Xi took over in 2013, he did not meet with prominent Hong Kong business figures until September 22, 2014. Following this, Ka-Shing sought a solo meeting with Xi Jinping, submitting a request through the central office, but received no response. After waiting in Beijing for 2 weeks, Ka-Shing returned to Hong Kong and promptly convened key members to make the crucial decision to exit China discreetly. In 2015, Chinese state media, Xinhua's Outlook think tank, published an article titled "Don't Let Ka-Shing Run Away," criticizing Li for continuously divesting assets on the mainland as a form of capital flight. Ka-Shing highlighted that Ka-Shing's mass divestment became public knowledge only after the meeting with Xi Jinping failed to materialize. By then, Ka-Shing's projects and land holdings had already changed hands swiftly. Once a red capitalist with significant investments in China, Ka-Shing began rapidly divesting from the mainland shortly after Xi Jinping assumed power in 2012. This trend even extended to some Hong Kong projects being shifted to other countries, reflecting a diminishing hope in the Chinese Communist Party and a growing distrust in the one country, two systems principle. During the 2019 Hong Kong anti-extradition protests, Ka-Shing did not explicitly express support for the Chinese authorities, leading to a distancing of his relationship with the current regime. In August and September 2019, Ka-Shing sympathized with the protesters twice, urging both authorities and protesters to show restraint. He suggested that young people should consider the bigger picture, and those in power should leave room for the future leaders. However, his balanced remarks faced strong backlash from the Chinese Communist Party and the Hong Kong government, accusing Ka-Shing and other real estate developers of hoarding land and money. In response, Ka-Shing stated that in the current age of social media, some are dedicated to spreading toxic and false information to erode trust. He expressed tolerance is not the same as indulgence, calling for all parties to seek space rather than provoke conflicts. Wanda Plaza in Jinan echoes anti-CCP sentiments following Sitong Bridge incident. The Sitong Bridge incident marked the beginning of the White Paper Revolution, but Peng Lifao was not the sole brave resistor against tyranny. A few months later, on the north wall of the building at Jinan Wanda Plaza in Shandong, an electronic banner with a red background and white text reading "Down with the Communist Party, Down with Xi Jinping" appeared. Ka-Shing, originally from Hebei, conducts real estate leasing businesses in Beijing and Shandong. The 3-year pandemic lockdown rendered his business inoperable, resulting in significant financial losses. Ka-Shing expressed that over the 3 years of the pandemic, many people died. The anger accumulated over time, and the breaking point was the Xinjiang fire, as lockdown and welding doors prevented people from escaping. Fueled by accumulated anger over the 3-year epidemic, Ka-Shing meticulously planned the demonstration, involving projection, equipment installation, and remote control. Ka-Shing chose Jinan Wanda Plaza in the provincial capital of Shandong as the protest location. This area is the main street of Wanda Golden Street, next to Yingxiu Road, a bustling area with high pedestrian traffic. In early January 2023, just after the pandemic was lifted, Ka-Shing decided to wire abroad. On January 18, 2023, he left Macau, traveled to Thailand, flew to Turkey, and transferred to Quito. In his mind, he planned to activate the remote banner when he was close to the United States. On the evening of February 21, 2023, at 8 p.m. in a hotel in David, Panama, Ka-Shing opened the remote electronic display on his phone, pressed the button, and the red background with white text banner "Down with the Communist Party, Down with Xi Jinping" instantly projected onto the north wall of the building at Wanda Plaza. The enormous red light slogan was highly conspicuous in the night, and people on the street began to talk. The two simple slogans were like a thunderbolt, expressing political demands and dispelling the fear in people's hearts. Soon, police cars rushed to the scene. This act drew swift retaliation from Chinese authorities, resulting in widespread arrests, property freezing, and intense investigations. Ka-Shing's parents were questioned continuously for a week, forcing his parents to persuade him to return to China. They froze all his bank accounts, instructing his relatives not to send him money. The police even went to his elementary school, investigating from the moment of his birth. Ka-Shing's arrested friend and his girlfriend remained missing. At that time, friend, didn't think this matter would be so serious, and neither did I. I knew they would arrest me, but I didn't know authorities, would mobilize so many people with such a big fuss to find me. After his assets were frozen, Ka-Shing was penniless for a while, without even money for meals. In Mexico, he was forced to cross the border into the United States by clinging to a train with friends from Venezuela. Upon entering the United States, Ka-Shing had conversations with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, learning that Chinese police had pursued him internationally. Having been in the United States for almost a year, Ka-Shing hesitated for a long time before deciding to expose the incident to the media. He said, "People oppose the Communist Party, many people oppose it, but due to personal safety concerns, everyone lacks the courage. I feel that if you find a way to avoid these things, being arrested, another wave of protests will rise in China." Ka-Shing sees his actions as inspired by the spirit of Peng Lifao, highlighting the sacrifice and fearlessness necessary to challenge the CCP. Chinese students in the U.S. face trial for threatening democracy advocates. The trial of 25-year-old Chinese student Wu Xiaolei at Boston's Berklee College of Music began on January 22 in a federal court. He is accused of harassing a fellow student, Zoe, who posted pro-democracy posters, threatening her, and reporting her to the Chinese Communist Party. According to charging documents, Zoe posted flyers near Berklee College of Music in October 2022, with messages like "Stand with the Chinese people" and "We want freedom, we want democracy." Subsequently, Wu Xiaolei started stalking and harassing Zoe, sending threatening messages through WeChat, email, and Instagram. He also publicly disclosed Zoe's school email and residential address online, causing fear for Zoe and concern for her family in China. In response, Berkeley suspended Wu Xiaolei for a year. The FBI arrested him on December 14, and he was released on bail that night. The final pretrial hearing took place on January 18, with Zoe testifying on the 22nd and 23rd. Assistant Prosecutor Porter highlighted the seriousness of the threat, emphasizing that the CCP does not tolerate expressions like those on Zoe's posters and actively suppresses opposing views. The prosecution claims that Wu Xiaolei could face up to 5 years in prison, 3 years of post-release supervision, and a $250,000 fine for the stalking and harassment charges, with the final judgment to be determined by the federal district court judge. In response to the incident, Jie Jian, executive director of the youth department of the Chinese Democratic Party, expressed, "As a student in the free world for years, Wu's behavior does not align with civilized society. It reflects the CCP's ideology, whether he is part of a vested interest group or a sacrificial lamb brainwashed by the CCP, serving their agenda and persecuting democracy advocates." Wu Xiaolei's lawyer, Michael Tumpesky, claims his client is not a CCP agent but a clumsy bookworm who expressed himself in a mistaken way about Zoe's posters. Jie Jian rejects this, stating, "Regardless, this behavior amounts to a serious violent threat. Regardless of whether you act on it, exposing someone's email and address, making various threats." Thankfully, the FBI uncovered it, averting a potentially significant personal harm incident. Wu Xiaoping, a human rights lawyer for Chinese nationals in the United States, asserted, "Wu Xiaolei's clear expressions of threats and intimidation against others in the United States should be a criminal offense. This case serves as a significant warning to international students who may lack awareness of the CCP or who are manipulated by the CCP to persecute democracy advocates." Wu advised those who support the CCP to learn and understand U.S. law well. He stated, "In the free world, don't attempt to infringe on others' freedom of speech, the right to protest and demonstrate. You can't use illegal or even criminal means to threaten and attack those who oppose dictatorship and the CCP. If you engage in such behavior, you may face criminal consequences." Wu Xiaoping also emphasized that the United States protects the freedom of speech for all citizens, and violating the rights of others will be prosecuted. Jie Jian believes that the Wu Xiaolei case is a landmark watershed case. According to him, if this case is severely sentenced, it will definitely deter a large number of overseas Chinese leaders, political agents, and pro-CCP individuals. It can prevent more incidents like his own harm, and more online death threats. It can prevent frequent threats and cross-border suppression in the free world by the CCP, ensuring our safety to a greater extent. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.